Hi, this is Kaoru Watanabe for kaDON Fue Fundamentals 2. In this lesson, we are going to talk about scale exercise variations. Okay, so before, in our scale exercise, again, go back to Fue Fundamentals 1 and check out scales. We were going sequentially up and down, starting either at 1. I think maybe I suggested you could start at 2, but for example, if we're starting at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Just going up and down one note at a time, right? And again, with a metronome, making sure that the fingers are even, the rhythm is even. All right, so I did that sequence 4 times. Scale just one up at a time, one down at a time. So for this variation, instead of going sequentially, we're going to skip a note, back down, 1, skip another note, back down, skip, back down. Okay? It might be easier if you just heard it. I'll play it one time. Right, we've gone that far. Now, just to kind of round out the phrase, we're going to go down a note, skip down, up a note, skip down. Okay? I think I said something funny, but you get the idea. Okay, and we have the music for it. I'll play it again slowly. Okay, and then to play it twice in a row. Okay, and again, we're really being careful to keep our fingers moving nice and crisply. We are keeping the rhythm nice and clean. It can be very easy to mess up the rhythm. Right, just to exaggerate that. I'm going to demonstrate it with the metronome still at 70. Do it 2 times, take a breath, move up a step, and do that same sequence again. 2 times, take a breath, etc. Keep going up and down, up the fue. It'll sound like this at the high end of the flute. And, because the fingerings are not quite the same as the lower range, the lower octaves, it's a little tricky, so you have to really figure out the sequence of how the fingers are moving. Again, this is challenging, but you have to take your time with it. It's a different way of familiarizing yourself with the flute. So I demonstrated what I call thirds, because we're skipping. If we're starting, for example, on the 1, when we skip 2, we call that a third, right? Two steps up becomes a third, instead of, which would be a second, right? So I did the scale in thirds. I'm going to show you a way to do it in fourths. It's the same concept of getting used to different sequence of notes. Okay, so in fourths, and we're back to the beginning. Okay, so you're going to go up a fourth, go down 2, up a fourth, down 2, up a fourth, down 1, down a third, a fourth, and then back to your original. I'll play the sequence one more time. And then up a step. Up a step. Okay, so now you're really working your brain. It's one thing to write it out. It can be very helpful to write it out and watch the sequence as you're doing it. But it's a great brain exercise to have it in your head and get used to the idea of jumping intervals and being aware of how big of a jump you're doing. When I'm improvising, and we'll be talking about improvising in a different course, but just to give you kind of a taste of what I'm talking about, it's one thing to improvise in a I guess what you call a linear fashion, moving up and down the scale. Or if I'm improvising and using larger intervals. Right, I kind of started with just the scale exercise. So it's just a way to give your phrases a different shape. And also when you're playing any sort of melody, most melodies have jumps, right? It's not always just one note up and down the scale, but there's often jumps of fourths and fifths or more. So we really want to get comfortable coming at it from any angle, from any interval, jumping from any note to any other note. That's what all these exercises are about. And then using a metronome, using a tuner, keeping everything nice and clean. I demonstrated thirds, I demonstrated fourths. You can try fifths, you can try sixths. I was demonstrating it going up, for example, up a third, down, up a third, down, up a third, down. You can create your own patterns. Instead of just going up a third, down, you can do up a third, up another third, down 1, down a third, down 1, and you'll get back to your original note. Another variation of this, which I won't necessarily demonstrate, but to give you an idea, are what are called arpeggios, right? So for example, I'm doing 2/3 in a row, right? Those are 2 consecutive thirds. So for example, right? Then you have the metronome going, you get a nice rhythm. Right? Ugh, let me do that again. Right? And you can go up and down the scale. You can try to go as high as you can. It's really a limitless number of scale, intervallic intervals, different shapes of these melodies that you can come up with. And it can be fun to kind of create your own. Again, keep going back to the idea of clean finger movements, being aware of how many breaths you're taking, especially for those of you who don't have enough time to practice. If you can't find the time to practice once a day, you can consolidate some of these exercises, right? Consolidate the scale, the different intervallic things, the whole note, the octave things. Work on many things at once, in order to have more efficient practice habits. In the next lesson, we're going to, In the next lesson, we're going to revisit using vibrato. So until next time, keep practicing, and I'll see you then.